Have you ever felt it? That gnawing, persistent sense that life is slipping past you, that the hours, the days, and the years are moving like a train you cannot catch, while you sit on the platform, waiting for permission, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting to feel ready, waiting for someone to notice you, to choose you, to make your life meaningful, waiting for luck, waiting for love, waiting for yourself to become someone worthy. And while you wait, the life you were meant to live quietly slips away. This is the condition Bukowski observed, not just in himself, but in the thousands of people he met in bars, in cheap apartments, in the grimy streets of Los Angeles. He saw it with a clarity that was brutal, unflinching, and strangely compassionate. Most of us think we are waiting for a moment that will never come, for a signal from the universe, for a cosmic green light to finally live fully. Bukowski's message is simple and terrifyingly liberating. Stop waiting. Stop looking for permission. Stop hoping someone else will hand you your life on a silver platter. Start living. The life you are waiting for is already yours. The courage to live is always present, but it will not announce itself politely. It will not knock and ask if you are ready. It demands that you act first. It demands that you choose yourself, that you take your own hand and pull yourself into the chaos of existence with every ounce of your strength. Waiting is a form of subtle death, a surrender to the illusions of control and safety. Life does not wait. Life moves forward. And the cruel and beautiful truth is that your only path is to step into it. This is not a philosophy of optimism. It is not a cheerful, glossy promise that everything will turn out fine. Bukowski did not lie about that. The streets are cold, the nights are long, and the people who smile the easiest often hide the deepest pain. But within this stark reality, there is a freedom that cannot be given or taken. It is the freedom of choosing, of deciding, of acting, even when the odds are stacked against you. It is the freedom to be alive, now, fully, without waiting for permission or perfect timing. This is the threshold we stand on, the point where most people turn back, returning to their endless waiting. And it is precisely here, in the place that terrifies the hesitant, that the lost find themselves. Bukowski found this threshold and refused to step back. He wrote, he drank, he fought, he loved, he got up again. And in watching him, we see the essential truth. The life you want does not exist in some distant future. It exists here, now, in the messy, imperfect act of living. Number 1. The brutal truth about life. How even the smallest task can feel like moving a mountain. Most people are living in a quiet surrender, a soft compromise with mediocrity, because they have been taught that survival itself is a success. You are told to pay your bills, to show up, to keep your mouth shut, to be polite, to not ask for too much. And if you rebel, if you try to live outside these invisible, oppressive rules, you are branded as difficult, lazy, or ungrateful. Bukowski saw this clearly. He walked among people who were already dead inside, zombies in suits, clerks and secretaries, and taxi drivers who had been taught to accept smallness as virtue. He saw the shame of ordinary life, the way people talked about their responsibilities, as if they were badges of honor, when really they were chains. The brutal truth is that life is indifferent. The streets, the government, your boss, the neighbors, the weather, even love, none of it cares if you succeed or fail. And the first step toward freedom is to see that clearly. This recognition is terrifying. To know that life is indifferent is to know that no one will save you. No one owes you meaning or opportunity. No one is going to make your dreams come true. The brutal, liberating truth is that if you want your life to matter, you must make it matter yourself. There is no script, no director, no guarantee. There is only you, your choices, and your willingness to act despite fear, despite exhaustion, despite the constant whisper of doubt that tells you to quit, that tells you that it is too late, that you are too small. Bukowski's message is often misunderstood as nihilism. It is not. It is a call to honesty, to clarity. Life is not a storybook. Life does not unfold according to fairness or justice. And the sooner you accept this, the sooner you can stop wasting time on illusions and start living with a raw, unfiltered immediacy of reality. He saw beauty in the struggle, not in comfort. He wrote because he had to, not because it was safe. He loved because he had to, not because it was convenient. He lived because he had to, not because anyone had promised him reward. To live fully, Bukowski insisted, you must confront your own weakness and your own fear. You must face the truth that most of your life has been spent waiting for a signal that will never come, for permission that was never yours to receive. The moment to act is always now. The clarity of this truth can crush you, or it can awaken you. The difference is in whether you allow yourself to hide behind excuses, behind routine, behind the comforting illusion of safety, or whether you decide to step forward anyway. This is why Bukowski resonates with the lost. He does not give easy answers. He does not promise wealth, fame, or love. He gives you the truth, unvarnished, unflinching. The truth that if you do not choose yourself, if you do not take the chaotic and dangerous step into your own existence, your life will be spent in quiet despair, your potential wasted, your dreams unfulfilled, and the weight of regret growing heavier with every passing year. The brutal truth about life is that it does not care. But within that truth lies a freedom that cannot be given to you, cannot be stolen from you, cannot be legislated or sold. It is yours. To live with it, to act with it, to embrace it, that is the work Bukowski calls upon us to do. And the people who take this call seriously are the ones who break free from the quiet desperation that surrounds them. They are the ones who write their own story, even if it is messy, ugly, painful, and fleeting. They are the ones who start living, and in that act, they are never lost again. Number 2. Why ordinary life feels like a trap. Have you ever felt the walls closing in, even when you are sitting in your own home, in the life you supposedly chose? There is a quiet, suffocating weight to ordinary life, a gravity that pulls you down, an invisible cage made not of iron, but of routine, expectation, and invisible judgment. You wake up every morning and perform the motions coffee, commute, work, bills, television, and the days blend together until you cannot remember the last time you truly felt alive. Bukowski observed this in vivid detail. He walked through the streets and saw people living in self-imposed prisons, believing that their discomfort, their exhaustion, their smallness was inevitable. They told themselves stories. I am responsible. I must provide. This is life. And all the while, the life they were meant to live, the life that might have ignited a spark in their soul, remained untouched, unexamined, and slowly decayed. The trap is subtle. It is the slow erosion of choice, the quiet tyranny of expectation, the invisible hand that tells you which dreams are acceptable, which desires are reasonable, which ambitions are foolish. You do not notice it at first. You accept it, because to resist seems reckless, dangerous, ungrateful. And over time, the trap solidifies until you feel as though there is no escape, that the boundaries of your cage are the limits of your own existence. Bukowski's wisdom is dark, but it is also liberating. He recognized the mechanisms of this trap, not to condemn you, but to illuminate your path out of it. The trap is not a punishment. It is a challenge, a mirror, a test of whether you will remain a passive participant in your own life, or whether you will take the frightening, exhilarating step of choosing yourself. Ordinary life feels like a trap because it is easy. It is safe. But easy is not the same as living. Safe is not the same as freedom. The cage is comfortable, but it is also dead. To break free, Bukowski insisted, you must embrace your own dissatisfaction. You must look directly at the dullness, the monotony, the endless repetition of ordinary existence, and say, "This is not enough." You must act without guarantee, without safety, without permission. You must step into the chaos, into the streets, into the bars, into the pages, into the people, into the city, into the night, and confront the living, breathing world with your whole, flawed, unarmed self. That is how the trap is broken. That is how ordinary life becomes extraordinary, or at least real. Number 3. The pain you carry and never speak about. There is a quiet suffering that lives inside most people. A private torment that is never shared, never acknowledged, and never validated. It is the weight that presses on your chest when no one is looking. The ache that wakes you at 2 in the morning. The persistent, gnawing feeling that something essential has been lost. Bukowski saw this clearly in himself and in everyone who stumbled across his path. He understood that human beings are often alone in their suffering, not because it is unspeakable, but because the world is indifferent. Most people are taught to hide their pain, to smile despite it, to consume it quietly and pretend it does not exist. Society offers no rewards for honesty, no recognition for truth, and no space for weakness. Pain is a liability. Vulnerability is a danger. And so we learn to bury our suffering, to carry it as a secret companion, a shadow that follows us everywhere, shaping our thoughts, our relationships, and our choices. The irony, Bukowski observed, is that the more we hide it, the more it controls us. The unspoken pain begins to dictate our lives, carving invisible grooves in our minds and hearts. The nature of this silent suffering is complex. It is often born of loss, of betrayal, of unrealized dreams, of the quiet humiliation of being unseen. It is carried in the body as much as the mind, in the restless tension of muscles, in the clenching of jaws, in the hollow echo of unspoken words. Bukowski wrote about it not to comfort, but to expose. He knew that acknowledging the weight of your own pain is terrifying. It is easier to drink, to sleep, to escape, to numb yourself in art, in love, in work, in distraction. But numbing is temporary. The pain remains. It accumulates. And it shapes every choice you make in ways you rarely perceive. Bukowski also understood that this private suffering has its own strange, almost sacred value. It is the crucible in which creativity, honesty, and courage are forged. The writer, the painter, the singer, the thinker, the observer of the world, these are often the people who carry immense pain. Their suffering is the engine of their work, the reason they are alive with a clarity and intensity that others lack. To confront your pain, to look it squarely in the eye, and to live despite it, is the truest form of rebellion. It is the most defiant act you can commit against a world that prefers comfort, distraction, and denial. Yet the trap is ever present. The pain that is never spoken about is also the pain that isolates. It builds walls around you, even from the people you love. Friends and lovers may see your surface, your laughter, your small gestures, but they rarely glimpse the storm beneath. You guard it because to reveal it is to risk judgment, pity, or misunderstanding. You guard it because, somewhere, you have absorbed the quiet. Cruel lesson that pain is shameful, that to feel deeply is dangerous, that to admit weakness is to invite exploitation. Bukowski's advice is radical in its simplicity. Do not let the world decide how you handle your suffering. Carry it, but do not be defined by it. Use it. Transform it. Pour it into the work, into the words, into the music, into the life you refuse to surrender. The people who are most alive, Bukowski observed, are often those who have not mastered comfort, but those who have mastered endurance. They have felt deeply, loved recklessly, failed spectacularly, and continued on. Their pain has not disappeared, but it has become fuel. The secret is not to eliminate suffering, but to face it, to name it, to wield it as both a compass and a weapon. In this confrontation, you begin to live authentically. You stop pretending. you stop waiting. And you realize that the unspoken pain is not a curse. It is a map, if you are brave enough to read it. Bukowski's insight pierces the heart because it is so human. Every quiet struggle, every moment spent screaming internally while smiling externally, every tear shed in darkness is valid. Every instance of feeling invisible while carrying invisible weight is proof that you are alive. To deny this is to deny your own humanity. To embrace it is to awaken to the full spectrum of existence, the beauty, the cruelty, the chaos, and the fleeting brilliance of being alive, even when life is unbearably heavy. To carry your pain openly, or to at least acknowledge it to yourself, is to take a step toward freedom. It is the first act of claiming your life in a world that would rather you remain silent. Bukowski's wisdom is simple. The pain you carry is yours, and it is yours to use, to transform, to honor, and to live with. It is both burden and gift, shadow and fuel, sorrow and revelation. And it is only when you confront it, without illusion, without avoidance, that you can begin to live a life of unflinching honesty and raw intensity. Number 4. The people who pretend to care. Have you ever noticed how many people around you are wearing masks? How many smiles are rehearsed? How many words are polite but empty? How many hands reach for you not to help, but to measure, to calculate, to judge? Bukowski saw through the pretension of civility, the shallow gestures of concern, the superficial sympathy that often passes for love. He recognized that most people operate on a currency of appearances. They perform care as a way to secure status, to maintain image, or to manipulate, rather than from any deep connection to your reality. These false gestures are invisible at first. They come draped in kindness, in compliments, in advice, in smiles. They feel comforting, like warm sunlight, but there is no warmth beneath. They are instruments of social survival. People pretend to care because it allows them to navigate the world without confronting their own fears, weaknesses, or failures. To truly care is messy, is inconvenient, is dangerous. To truly care is to be exposed, to commit, to risk disappointment, to risk rejection, to allow another human being to touch the core of your existence. Most cannot or will not do this. Bukowski understood this profoundly. He moved through the world with a clarity that allowed him to see the difference between performative affection and genuine engagement. He recognized that much of human interaction is transactional, even when it is disguised as generosity. Friends, lovers, colleagues, even family members, many operate from self-interest, comfort, or habit, not from authentic concern. And the disillusionment that comes from recognizing this is often as painful as the loss of love itself. Yet there is a liberation in seeing through these illusions. To recognize who truly cares and who merely pretends is to reclaim a measure of power over your own life. You stop seeking validation in empty gestures. You stop giving your heart to those unwilling or incapable of holding it. You learn to differentiate between the warmth that nurtures and the cold that merely reflects your own hopes back at you. Bukowski's world is harsh, but it is clear. Clarity saves you from wasting your life on shadows, on illusions, on people who are only ever performative actors in the theater of your expectations. This recognition does not make life easier, but it makes life honest. It forces you to confront the reality of human imperfection and self-interest. And in doing so, it sharpens your senses, strengthens your resolve, and deepens your appreciation for those rare moments when care is real, when it is uncalculated, when it is unconditional. It also teaches an important lesson. To be truly alive, you must learn to care for yourself first. The person who depends on others' performance of concern is forever at the mercy of their inconsistencies. To survive, to thrive, to exist authentically, you must cultivate your own capacity for compassion, loyalty, and attention. Bukowski's wisdom in this regard is both warning and guide. The people who pretend to care are everywhere, and their presence will test your discernment, your patience, and your heart. But the world is also full of those rare souls who do care, who act without calculation, who love without expectation. To recognize the difference is to step out of the fog of disappointment and into the light of self-determination. The masked crowds recede. The empty gestures lose their power, and the life you are finally willing to claim, with all its danger, imperfection, and intensity, becomes possible. In the end, Bukowski's message is consistent. Life is not about waiting for care, for recognition, or for validation from those who will never give it freely. It is about acting, creating, and loving in the face of indifference. It is about choosing to live fully, to acknowledge your pain, to see the truth, and to persist despite the masks, the illusions, and the pretense that surround you. Life is raw. Life is unkind. Life is brief. But in that starkness lies the opportunity to live honestly, courageously, and completely. Number 5. Why creative people suffer more. There is a peculiar kind of suffering that attaches itself to those who see the world differently, who refuse to accept its comfortable illusions. Bukowski understood this not as a romantic notion, but as a harsh, undeniable truth. To be creative is to feel deeply, to observe sharply, to experience the world in layers that others do not notice. And feeling deeply, Bukowski knew, is a kind of curse. Creative people are constantly torn between the longing for expression and the burden of reality. They see beauty where others see nothing. They detect injustice where others remain indifferent. They are haunted by contradictions, by emotions that cannot be named, by desires that cannot be fulfilled. This awareness, this sensitivity, is not optional. It is intrinsic. And the world does not reward this sensitivity, it punishes it. Society is built on conformity, on mediocrity, on the dull comfort of the predictable. The creative soul, in its insistence on perceiving truth, is perpetually at odds with the structures around it. Bukowski saw the destructive consequences of this. The creative mind is never at rest. It wrestles with questions that have no answers, struggles with emotions that have no resolution, and wrestles with a society that is incapable of understanding its depth. Isolation becomes inevitable. Relationships strain under the weight of intensity. Moments of joy are tinged with melancholy. The artist's suffering is compounded by the world's inability or unwillingness to recognize it. To the masses, this suffering appears unnecessary, dramatic, or even self-inflicted. To the creative person, it is the cost of perception, the price of awareness. Yet Bukowski never portrayed this suffering as meaningless. He saw it as the engine of life, as the fire that fuels creation. The ache, the despair, the loneliness, all of it is material for art, for writing, for music, for invention. Pain becomes a lens through which beauty is observed and transmitted. The suffering itself is not a barrier to life, but a vehicle for deeper experience. To live as a creative soul is to accept that suffering is inevitable, but that it can be transformed, alchemized, into something that resonates beyond the self. The irony is that the world will often misinterpret the work of a creative person, even as it craves the raw emotion it conveys. People celebrate the finished product, the poem, the painting, the song, but they rarely acknowledge the struggle, the nights of torment, the endless doubt, the emotional excavation that preceded it. This invisibility of suffering is part of the cruelty. It isolates the creator further, reinforcing the sense that their pain is unique, that they bear a weight no one else can share. Bukowski's warning is unflinching. To create is to suffer more, because to feel deeply is to live more vividly. But the suffering is not punishment. It is evidence of engagement with the world on its fullest terms. It is proof that one refuses to remain anesthetized, to sleep through life's nuances, to be complicit in mediocrity. The creative sufferer is alive in ways others are not, and that life, for all its intensity, is both dangerous and essential. The path of the creative is a solitary one, but it is also sacred. Every poem, every line of prose, every brushstroke, every note is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Bukowski knew that embracing suffering, rather than fleeing it, allows the creative person to channel despair into expression, isolation into clarity, and anguish into meaning. In the end, suffering and creation are inseparable. To live fully as a creative soul is to accept the pain, to transform it, and to give it back to the world in a form that elevates it, validates it, and immortalizes it. Number 6. The loneliness you don't admit. Have you ever felt a loneliness so complete that even in a crowded room, surrounded by people, you might as well be invisible? It is not simply the absence of company. It is the profound recognition that others cannot truly meet you, cannot truly know your inner life, cannot penetrate the labyrinth of your thoughts, fears, and desires. Bukowski understood this loneliness intimately. It is not merely a temporary state, it is a defining condition for anyone who refuses to hide their true self in favor of social comfort or conformity. Loneliness is often disguised. We surround ourselves with friends, lovers, distractions, work, and noise, but these masks do not touch the root of the isolation we feel. Our most intimate truths, the shame, the doubt, the ambitions, the terrors cannot be shared fully without risking judgment or rejection. So we build walls around them, confining our deepest selves to a private world that no one can enter. In Bukowski's writing, these walls are both prison and sanctuary. They protect, but they also expose the raw, aching reality of the human condition. This loneliness is not simply emotional, it is existential. It arises from the understanding that no one can live your life for you. No one can endure your experiences. No one can truly navigate the path of your consciousness. It is the solitude inherent in freedom, the isolation that comes with seeing the world clearly, and the recognition that connection is always partial, always imperfect. Bukowski's insight is relentless. Trying to escape this loneliness through dependency or conformity only deepens it. The moment we rely on others to validate our existence, we hand over the keys to our inner world. Yet, this recognition is not despair. Bukowski presents loneliness as a companion, a mirror, and a guide. It forces introspection, cultivates resilience, and sharpens perception. Those who embrace their solitude often become the truest versions of themselves. They are capable of deeper love, greater creativity, and more authentic living precisely because they have faced the profound emptiness at their core. Loneliness becomes a teacher, revealing the boundaries between self and other, illusion and reality, need and desire. The people who never admit their loneliness, who mask it with humor, bravado, or social noise, are often the ones most in need of its lessons. Bukowski recognized the courage it takes to sit with your own solitude without fleeing, to face the silence, the emptiness, and the fear it contains. Those who hide from it trade authenticity for comfort, depth for distraction, intensity for safety. To admit loneliness is to accept the full weight of life. It is to acknowledge that existence is fragile, finite, and profoundly solitary. Bukowski's message is clear. There is no shame in loneliness, only opportunity. By sitting with it, examining it, and allowing it to guide your choices, you cultivate a life that is real rather than performative, rich rather than superficial, deliberate rather than accidental. To understand your own loneliness is to understand your own heart. It is to recognize the moments of connection you do find as precious and rare, not guaranteed or endless. And it is to build an inner strength that no external circumstance can destroy. Loneliness is a crucible. It tests integrity, resilience, and courage. It confronts you with your deepest truths and forces decisions about how you wish to live, love, and act. Bukowski did not romanticize this solitude, nor did he sugarcoat it. He celebrated it as a necessary condition of awareness, creativity, and self-possession. To live fully, he taught, one must embrace the emptiness without denying it, carry it without resentment, and allow it to guide rather than dictate the life you choose to create. In a world obsessed with connectivity, approval, and endless social validation, Bukowski's insight remains radical. The loneliness you do not admit is not a weakness, it is a foundation. It is the soil in which your most authentic self takes root. Those who fear it, ignore it, or run from it will never fully awaken. Those who meet it face to face, however, discover a clarity, a depth, and a freedom that the crowd, in its constant chatter and distraction, can never provide. Number 7. Why you feel like you dawn to fit into this world. Have you ever walked into a room and felt, immediately, that you were in the wrong story? Not literally, but emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. You feel like an intruder in a world that was never meant for you. It is a quiet, gnawing sensation, a persistent friction between who you are and what the world expects you to be. Bukowski recognized this feeling in countless lives, including his own. He saw that most people drift through life adhering to invisible scripts, performing roles assigned by society, family, and circumstance. But some of us cannot, will not, and never could fit comfortably within those scripts. This sense of misalignment is not weakness. It is clarity. It is the recognition that your soul vibrates differently, that the world around you, with its conventions, hypocrisies, and banal routines, does not resonate with your deeper truths. Those who feel this dissonance are often labeled as outsiders, misfits, rebels, or eccentrics. They are misunderstood because their perception of reality differs from the majority, not because they are inherently flawed. Bukowski's writing illustrates that this sense of being an outsider is both a curse and a gift. Those who do not fit experience life with an intensity that is often overwhelming. Everyday interactions can feel shallow, routines can feel constrictive, and social norms can feel suffocating. They see through the illusions, the pretenses, the artificial niceties that lubricate ordinary existence. This perception isolates them, but it also sharpens them. They are acutely aware of human folly, hypocrisy, and compromise, which makes moments of genuine connection all the more rare and all the more profound. Bukowski's insight into this misfit feeling is uncompromising. The world is not designed for depth, for intensity, for radical authenticity. Society rewards conformity, mediocrity, and comfortable mediocrity. To be fully alive, fully aware, fully yourself, is to exist in constant tension with the structures and expectations that dominate most lives. The outsider suffers because they resist this pressure. They are punished for perceiving reality, for questioning the norms, and for refusing to compromise their inner truths. But this suffering has a hidden function. Those who do not fit are forced to create their own pathways, to find or build spaces that resonate with their values, their creativity, their vision. They are pioneers of the unseen, architects of the unconventional. Their alienation is a source of insight, a lens through which the world can be understood more fully. Bukowski's own life demonstrates this. He embraced his outsider status, channeling isolation and misalignment into a prolific body of work that communicates the raw, unfiltered truths of existence. It is a dangerous freedom. The misfit must confront constant rejection, judgment, and misunderstanding. They wrestle with the pervasive question, why am I so different? And yet, the answer is not a problem to solve, but a condition to accept. Bukowski encourages this acceptance, not as resignation, but as liberation. When you stop fighting your nature, when you stop pretending to fit in, when you embrace your difference, you gain access to an authenticity that the majority will never experience. The people who feel like they do not belong are the ones most capable of insight, empathy, and creation. They see beyond the comfortable lies. They perceive nuances that others miss, and they live with a raw, unfiltered intensity that is both dangerous and illuminating. Bukowski's work reminds us that not fitting in is a symptom of awareness, a sign of depth, and a necessary condition for living life on your own terms. The lesson is simple but hard. Do not try to fit in. Embrace your difference. Carry the weight of isolation, the sting of misunderstanding, and the heat of intensity, because they are the hallmarks of a life lived authentically. In the tension between self and world lies the raw material for art, thought, and profound personal freedom. Bukowski teaches that the misfit is not broken. The world is simply not designed for those who feel, see, and think too deeply. Number 8. The silent war inside you. There is a war inside you. It is not a war you declare, and it is not a war anyone else can see. It is fought in quiet moments, in private thoughts, in sleepless nights. Bukowski knew this war intimately. It is the battle between desire and restraint, between authenticity and conformity, between the self you want to be and the self you are told to become. This war does not end, and it does not pause. It is a constant, subtle, and often invisible force shaping your life. Most people are unaware of this war because they have learned to suppress it. They drown it in work, distractions, addictions, and routines. They tell themselves that life is simple, that compliance is safe, that surrender is inevitable. But Bukowski recognized that surrender is a lie, a slow death of the spirit. Those who refuse to fight, even in small ways, die inwardly long before their bodies do. The silent war is a measure of survival. It is a crucible in which your character, resilience, and courage are forged. This war is deeply personal, yet universal. It manifests as self-doubt, anger, desire, regret, longing, and fear. It is fought in every choice you make, in every compromise you consider, and in every instinct you resist. It is silent because it is unseen, unacknowledged, and often misunderstood. No one can fight it for you. No one can wage it in your place. It is yours entirely, a solitary test of endurance and authenticity. Bukowski understood that acknowledging the war is the first step toward survival. Most people live as if life were a series of external battles against bosses, governments, societal expectations, or other people. But the truest and most consequential conflicts are internal. They are invisible because they are fought in the mind, in the heart, and in the soul. Ignoring them does not make them disappear. It allows them to grow, to metastasize, to silently undermine every aspect of life. The silent war is a teacher, a brutal and uncompromising one. It exposes illusions, challenges weakness, and demands self-awareness. It forces you to confront uncomfortable truths about desire, fear, morality, and ambition. It strips away pretenses, showing you who you are without the filters of social expectation or comforting lies. Bukowski's philosophy is that survival is not about comfort. It is about engagement. It is about staring into the abyss of your own contradictions and choosing, every day, to act in alignment with the self that is real, not the self that is convenient. Those who embrace the war find an unexpected liberation. They discover a kind of power that is invisible to the world, a power that comes from knowing oneself deeply, from resisting the seductions of ease, from standing in the face of internal chaos and choosing clarity, courage, and action. Bukowski teaches that the war is not a curse to escape, but a furnace in which your vitality is tested and refined. The people who ignore this battle may appear outwardly successful, content, or serene. But Bukowski knew that the absence of visible struggle does not indicate strength. It indicates sedation. Life's quiet intensity, its unrelenting challenges, demand confrontation. To deny the war is to deny life itself. To embrace it, however, is to enter into an intimate and authentic existence where every victory, every insight, every act of courage is genuinely earned. Survival, according to Bukowski, is not heroic in the traditional sense. It is not about glory, fame, or conquest. It is about enduring, observing, creating, and acting in the full recognition of the struggles that are invisible to everyone else. It is about maintaining integrity and presence in a world that encourages evasion, denial, and conformity. The silent war is the measure of a life fully lived, and those who fight it every day in their own hidden way are the truest survivors. Number 10. The bluebird we hide in our hearts. There is a bluebird in your chest. Bukowski often spoke of it, not as a literal bird, but as a fragile, trembling symbol of vulnerability, tenderness, and hidden hope. The world expects you to be tough, to be cynical, to be unbreakable. It rewards stoicism, mocks softness, and punishes displays of emotional frailty. And so, the bluebird hides. You feed it in secret, whisper to it when no one is listening, shelter it from the storms of daily life. But it is always there, pulsing beneath your ribs, reminding you that you are, despite everything, profoundly human. The bluebird represents the part of us that wants to feel, to love, to create, to dream, and to weep. It is the side of us that is often suppressed by necessity, social expectation, or fear. Bukowski's genius was to recognize that survival is not merely about enduring the external hardships of the world. It is about preserving that fragile inner life, no matter how battered, beaten, or dismissed by others. Life may demand toughness, cruelty, and compromise, but it is the bluebird that reminds us why we endure. You carry your bluebird through the grind of the mundane. You feed it in letters, in small acts of rebellion, in the words you dare to speak or write, in the moments when you allow yourself to be vulnerable. And yet, you must always protect it. The world is relentless in its demands. It will try to crush the tender, hopeful parts of you because tenderness is dangerous. Hope is disruptive, and softness threatens the established order. To protect your bluebird is to protect your soul, to maintain a private sanctuary where authenticity, empathy, and imagination can survive. Bukowski's message is brutally honest. Everyone has a bluebird, but not everyone acknowledges it. Many people spend their lives chasing success, recognition, and validation, believing these things will fill the emptiness inside. They try to smother the bluebird, to silence it, to ignore its delicate song. But the bluebird does not die, it waits. It waits for the moments when you are brave enough to feel, to embrace your fears, to confront your pain, to create, to cry, to hope. The bluebird is also a source of intimacy. It is the hidden part of yourself that longs to connect, to share, to trust. To reveal it is an act of vulnerability. And vulnerability is terrifying because it opens you to disappointment, betrayal, and ridicule. Bukowski lived with this knowledge. He wrote about it. He sang its praises. He bared his own bluebird in his poetry and prose, teaching us that the most powerful strength is not hardness or cynicism. It is the courage to remain tender in a world that demands steel. To honor your bluebird is to honor your humanity. It is to acknowledge the contradictions, the fragility, and the emotional depth that make life worth living. It is to accept that suffering is inseparable from beauty, that despair can coexist with hope, and that even in the darkest moments, there is a quiet pulse of life within you that is unassailable. The bluebird is the measure of your soul, the symbol of your internal richness, the reminder that beneath the chaos, the pain, and the absurdity of existence, you are alive, fully, beautifully, and irreducibly human. Bukowski's final lesson is this: nurture your bluebird. Speak to it, listen to it, protect it. It is fragile, yes, but also resilient. It is small, yes, but also immense in its significance. And when the world grows too loud, too hard, too cruel, when cynicism threatens to devour you, retreat to your bluebird. In its company, you will find courage, wisdom, and the unshakable certainty that, despite everything, life is worth living, and your heart is worth protecting. In conclusion, and so, we arrive at the end of this journey through the words, the life, and the relentless philosophy of Charles Bukowski. We have walked alongside him through the dark streets of loneliness, the bruising corridors of failure, the smoky bars of quiet despair, and the fragile and trembling light of hope that he called the bluebird. We have seen in unflinching detail the human heart laid bare, the desire to live fully, the craving for authenticity, the secret, unspoken pain that each of us carries, and the courage it takes simply to keep breathing, writing, and existing in a world that is often indifferent, cruel, and absurd. Bukowski's lessons are not comforting. They do not coddle, and they do not flatter. They hit like a fist to the gut, because they speak the truth that so few dare to utter. Life is brutal, loneliness is inevitable, failure is constant, and the world does not owe you understanding, justice, or mercy. Yet, within this brutal honesty lies the radical and empowering revelation that has made his work immortal. The suffering, the despair, the quiet defeats, and the moments of reckless abandon are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of life lived fully, without compromise, without apology, without the illusion of control. He taught us that the world will demand conformity, will mock tenderness, and will punish softness, but that these external forces are meaningless if the bluebird within is protected. That fragile, delicate, and often hidden part of ourselves, the part that loves, that hopes, that dreams, that creates, is our truest measure of courage and humanity. To live as Bukowski urges is to honor that bluebird. It is to write when the words burn, to love when the heart is afraid, to drink, to wander, to fail, and to rise again, not to impress anyone, not to meet expectations, but to live with unflinching fidelity to yourself. All 10 lessons we have explored, from embracing the raw, unfiltered reality of your pain, to rejecting the empty striving that masks inauthenticity, to protecting the quiet, precious bluebird within, converge on one essential truth. Life cannot be lived through fear, pretense, or the hollow pursuit of approval. Life is not a checklist, a performance, or a calculation. Life is a storm, a chaos, a thrill, a grief, and a wonder, and the only way to survive it with your soul intact is to face it as it is, to walk through the flames, to bleed, to fall, and to rise with courage and honesty. Bukowski's philosophy is terrifyingly beautiful because it leaves no illusions. But it also leaves the only thing that matters, the knowledge that you are the author of your own existence. You cannot escape suffering, but you can choose how to meet it. You cannot control the world, but you can refuse to be corrupted by it. You cannot guarantee success, love, or approval, but you can preserve your integrity, your tenderness, and your capacity for wonder. The bluebird waits for no one. It lives quietly inside each of us, vulnerable yet indestructible, reminding us that despite the chaos, life is ours to live fiercely and without compromise. The ultimate lesson is simple yet radical. Stop trying to live by the rules of a world that does not understand you. Stop waiting for permission, for perfect moments, or for validation from others. Protect your bluebird. Speak your truth. Write your poems. Love when it hurts. Fail when it must. This is the uncompromising life Bukowski lived, and left behind a life that does not promise safety or comfort, but one that promises the rarest and most profound reward of all, the chance to be fully, undeniably human. The doors are open. The bluebird waits. The question is whether you will have the courage, the recklessness, and the honesty to walk through, to face the world, to meet yourself, and to finally live the life that is yours, unchained, untamed, and impossible to replicate.